courtroom. I have provided to both of you attorneys the proposed charge of the court for the punishment phase, and I'm assuming that both of you have had an opportunity to review that.
Yes, Judge.
And I know that there was an issue on yesterday. Defense counsel had made a request for sudden passion, and I told him I didn't see how that applied, although we would do some research. But I was informed yesterday afternoon that the state agreed to include sudden passion as part of the charge. Is that correct, Mr. Black?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. So clearly you both have seen it within the charges. Is there anything, do you have any other objections to the state? I'm sorry, to the charge from the state?
No, Judge, this charge contains a correct statement of the law. The state has no objections.
Mr. Rogers, do you have, or Mr. Muller?
No objection, Judge.
Okay. And just so we're clear, I'm not trying to force you into a decision as to whether or not your client will testify or not.
Right.
I've got one of each.
Okay.
One with it in here and one with her decision not to testify. And they're identical in all other aspects except exactly.
Very good.
So we won't have any delays. And I'm sure the bailiffs have shared with you we've had a little delay in getting the jury here.
We've heard, Judge.
I'm expecting them in the next 10 minutes or so. Does the state have their witness? Or I believe, Ms. Nicholson, you were still putting on evidence.
Yes, Your Honor, the state has their witnesses available.
Okay, so after Ms. Nicholson finishes, you have 2 more live persons, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is it y'all's intention to rest after that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So I don't know how long that will take, but however long it is, when that concludes, we'll stop and have a short break, and you can decide which order you wish to go.
Okay.
Okay? Off the record.
Judge, we would request that.
Oh, yeah, let's put this on the record. Thank you.
Judge, we'd request that since the defendant is not a flight risk, that there's no need to have her in leg irons in the courtroom.
And does the state have any objection to that?
The state has no objections, Judge.
Okay. Then we will abstain from the leg irons. Thank you. Off the record. Thank you for remembering that thought. So as soon as the jury gets here, well, most of them are here. When the rest get here, we'll get started.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start tonight. Y'all sit down, okay?
Thank you. You all may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Ms. Nicholson, I believe when you recessed yesterday, you were in the middle of presenting some evidence.
I concluded with that evidence, Your Honor. We're ready to call our next witness.
Thank you.
State calls Alexis Stossel.
Ma'am, would you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You might adjust the microphone.
Good morning, Ms. Stossel. Please state your name and spell your name first and last for the court reporter.
My name is Alexis Stossel, Alexis, last name Stossel.
And Ms. Stossel, how did you know Bertrum gentleman?
Both him and I first met at Harding my junior year, it was 2013. We had both been selected to sit on the College of Business Student Advisory Board. So there are about 10 or 12 students that are recognized as leaders as part of Harding University, and we sat on a board together to work to improve the business building and to help improve students during their time at Harding and after. I had always known of Botham. I mean, everybody knows Botham. But I had never met him until the day that we sat on that board. And after that day, we were best friends ever since.
Is it fair to say that Botham was your person?
Yes. Next to my husband, Botham was my absolute person.
During your time at Harding, how did you recognize Botham affecting the students on campus?
Botham was a natural leader. I mean, in every aspect between friendships, groups that he was involved with, he took a leadership role. People gravitated towards him. It didn't matter if you didn't know him personally or you just were in the same room. You just felt welcomed by his presence.
Okay. Excuse me. And how did your husband and Botham get along?
I always joked that once I had introduced the two of them, that it was me that was the third wheel, because they talked nonstop about sports and life. And anytime something would happen in the NBA, oh man, Botham would immediately text my phone and say, I gotta talk to Jacob. And I finally was like, you have his number, just call him. I don't want to talk about sports. But they loved to get together, and we used to hang out a lot.
Can I push the limit, Sean?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been identified as States Exhibit 333, 339, 340, 341, 342, 343, 344, 345, and 346. Have you seen these photos before?
I have.
And will these, I'm sorry.
Was the first one you mentioned 333?
Did I say, I'm sorry, 338, Your Honor.
Okay.
338 through 346 consecutively. Thank you. And you've seen these photos before?
I have.
And do you think these photos would help the jury understanding our discussion about both of them?
Absolutely.
State's tendering 338 through 346 to the defense objection.
State has previously tendered these photos. I have no objection.
They're all admitted.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Stossel, after you met both of them, let's go back a little bit. What type of activities was both of them involved in on the campus of Harding University?
Botham was a part of the Rock House, which is it's a community outreach center that's ministry based. He worked directly beneath Todd Gentry as sort of a ministry intern. Together, the Rock House helps put on Bisons for Christ, which Botham helped organize most of it. The students of Harding, roughly about 3,000 people, we come together for a weekend, and we go into the community, and we help anyone in need, whether it be, fix up their house, move things around for them, or take them somewhere. And Botham was a big part of putting that all together and kind of rallying the student body to make them want to be more involved and make them want to reach out and help the community. He was also in a social club at Harding. It's called Sub T16. He was very prideful of his club. It's a great way to get to know other students and get more involved at Harding. He was very heavily involved in the College of Business, which he majored in accounting, And he was a part of many different teams, both competitively in the College of Business and then in classes, and then like the student advisory board that we sat on together. And of course, he led worship at Harding University. It's a Christian-based college, and every day they have what's called chapel, which is 30 minutes of time where the student body meets together. They take time to worship God and get general announcements, and he was a leader with chapel as well.
And you talked about Todd Gentry, and he was here with us in the program for the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
And he had to go back to Arkansas this morning.
He did. I like to call the Gentrys Botham's Arkansas parents. They were wonderful people that mentored him throughout his entire college career.
Now, when you and Botham became friends, were already dating your husband?
I actually was not dating my husband yet. My husband and I began dating about 6 months after Botham and I had met.
And how did that relationship go when you tell your husband, my guy, my person is a male friend?
Well, Botham and I like to always say that we were the exception to the rule that boys and girls can't be friends. And I told my husband, I said, hey, I love you, but this man is going to be in my life forever. And he's going to be a part of us forever because, thank you. Because I can't imagine living life without my other person.
At some point, Ms. Stossel, that you and Botham come back to Dallas.
I graduated in May of 2015, and that was when Botham started his internship at PwC. So I was starting a career, and he was beginning kind of the end phases of his college career and starting his own. And we kind of took on Dallas together. We didn't really know anybody. We had a few alumni here in Dallas, but he and I, we did everything together. I mean, sometimes he would just show up on the doorstep of my apartment with Chipotle and just say, I've got to watch Scandal, and just be quiet for an hour. So we would just hang out all the time.
What was his name that he had for you?
So, as you can tell from a lot of photos and things that you see of Botham, he stood out. And in every caption of every photo, he always made me say, you have to put your black friend Botham. So a lot of the captions in our past has got, me sitting next to him, and it says, here's my black friend Botham.
And what did he call you?
He called me Big Tex. I am obviously very tall, and I'm originally from Texas. And he said, Alexis just wouldn't do. So he always referred to me as Big Tex.
Did he refer to you commonly also as Alex?
Sometimes, but not very often.
And did you come to learn that his parents thought you were a boy named Alex?
He did. The first time I met his parents, they were kind of confused because they knew my name, but they had never met me in person. And then once I had told them some stories, they were like, oh, we had thought you were a boy this whole time.
Now, Ms. Stossel, I'm going to show you some photos, and I want you to kind of tell the jury about some of these photos, okay?
Okay.
I'm showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit 346. And is that Botham?
Yes, so this is taken at Harding. This is a part of his social club, Sub T16. when you're a part of a social club, you get a jersey with the club's name on it, and every Friday you wear that jersey on campus and all around. And something that Sub T is very much known for when they take photos is you look away with a thumbs up across your chest. So that is the classic Sub T stance at Harding.
Now, at some point, you and your husband were married, of course. What role did Botham take in that ceremony?
So I wanted Botham to be a part of the wedding, but more so I wanted his voice to be a part of our wedding because he had such a unique voice and just a speaking voice. So he was the MC at our wedding, so he introduced everybody, and he was in charge of the playlist and made sure that we cut the cake on the right time and danced on the floor, and so he was there the whole time.
And I'm showing you it's been marked as State Exhibit 338. And what was that from?
That's from the night of our wedding, and that was taken just at the reception hall.
And so you told us a little bit of how Botham and your husband became close, fast friends. What kind of things that you all did together as a group?
Besides the usual cookouts at our house or at Botham's apartment, we went to all kinds of sporting events together. A firm that I had worked for, I had the opportunity for a lot of free tickets to Mavericks games and to Stars games, and Botham demanded he be a part of that all the time. And so I think we saw 7 or 8 NBA games one season, and Botham was at every one of them.
And I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 339. Who are those individuals in this photo?
That's myself and Botham and my husband Jacob. The caption you don't see on that photo is me and Jacob with our black friend Botham.
When you all returned to Dallas, did Botham and yourself attend church together?
We did. On Tuesday nights, we would go to church together, and we would just worship together. And when we would listen to the sermon, we would both take notes. And then after church, we'd go find somewhere to eat, and we would compare whether we agreed with what the sermon said based on what the Bible says, or what we would have done differently. And that was our spirits, is we were always taking a situation and looking at it from every angle and seeing if we agreed or not.
I'm showing you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 340. Do you remember this?
I do. That was taken right after church. That's another Harding alumni, and Botham and I, right after church.
And then State's Exhibit 341. Do you recall when this photo was taken?
I do. This photo is taken right after Botham and I became good friends. The College of Business has a cookout every year for their business students. It's kind of where you get to see what different clubs they offer. I was the president of the management club, so I had to man a booth, and Botham was just there walking around, getting to know all of the new students and meeting everybody, and somebody snapped that photo.
Was Botham the friend who would do almost anything for his friends?
Oh, yeah. And you could volunteer him for something, and he'd show up acting like he volunteered himself.
And at one point, did he officiate the wedding of some of you all's classmates?
He did. Caitlin and Exie are two really, really good friends of both of ours. And they wanted him to be a part of their wedding, and they asked him to be the officiant.
And I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 342. And is this Caitlin and Exie?
It is. In the bottom left, you can see both of them.
You can see both of them. Can you spell Exie's name for the court reporter?
Exie is E-C-C-E.
And then it states Exhibit 343. Is that another photo?
It is.
Where was that wedding located?
It was in Nashville, Tennessee.
And how'd you get there?
So I am from East Texas, and it's actually shorter to drive from East Texas to Nashville than Dallas by 1 whole hour. So both of them drove to our house the night before the rehearsal dinner was, and both of them and I got in the car and drove 10 hours straight to Nashville together.
And what was that road trip like?
It was so much fun. Both of them and I had already moved back to East Texas, so I didn't get to see both of them as much during that time. And we spent the whole 10 hours just singing songs at the top of our lungs and talking about life in general. My biggest memory of that trip is we debated on what success meant to us. You know, whether it was how much money you had or what your job title was, but he just really believed that success was your impact on people and how you help people.
And states 344. What's going on in that photo?
So both of them was a procrastinator. And he had to write a letter to the bride and groom in their Bible. And that is me and him coming up with the perfect letter to write inside the Bible to give to the couple very last minute. And the wedding photographer busted us with a photo.
Okay. Can I have the lights on?
Of course.
Thank you. Ms. Stossel, did you and both of them, I guess, kind of always bounce off his problems with you or your problems with him?
Always. Yep. He would call me after work if it was a tough day or even if it was a good day, and I was the same. When I lived in Dallas, I had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to do with my career and what I wanted to be. And both of them was always there, encouraging me to find the good in every situation. If something was unethical or if something was just challenging, find the good. What is it teaching you and how can you improve? We talked almost every day. If it wasn't a phone call, it was a text message.
Yes.
At some point, Ms. Stossel, you debated and made the decision to move back home to East Texas. Is that correct?
It is.
And was that decision easy for you?
It was very hard. The business major in me thought you had to live in the big city to have the cool career. But the small town girl in me wanted to be closer to our family and closer to where we wanted to be for the rest of our lives. So deciding to go home meant risking a big Dallas career and risking not seeing my best friend every day.
And state wants to offer states exhibit 347, 348, and 349, previously tendered to the defense for any objection.
No objection.
347, 348, and 349 are all in it.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
Alexis, you and I have spoken about your communications with both of them, and I asked you to send me some text messages. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was this text message around the time that you were making the decision to move?
This was the day after we had both of them over for dinner to tell him that we would be moving to Kilgore. I was really nervous to tell both of them because I wanted his approval, and I was afraid that he would discourage us from moving.
And did he discourage you?
No. He was very encouraging the night that we told him this is going to be great. It's going to do good things for you guys. Family is so important. And then the next day, he sent me these messages.
Can you read them to the jury?
So the first message is yo. And for those that know both of them, that's how he started almost every sentence. So it says, yo, I just want to take a sec to remind you to always shoot your shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You can miss 4 shots in a row, but then you get the ball in your hands with 5 seconds left. Expletive, shoot it. It's the most important shot of your life. It goes in, now you're the hero. You're absolutely killing it. I just wanted to leave you this message to let you know I fully support your decision to move to Kilgore. Not that you needed my approval or anything, but this could be the best decision of your life. You'll never know if you never attempt it. And I know you might be scared and expletive and worry about the uncertainty of the future and all of that. But don't be, because if it's one thing I've figured out in my short mid-20s life, it's that stuff eventually figures itself out.
And then that text message continued.
It did. He was not afraid to double text.
And in States Exhibit 348,
He continued with, I've always valued our friendship, and I want you to know that no matter where you and Jacob are, I would give up a limb for y'all, maybe 2. And then he signed it, your black friend, Bo.
now Ms. Stossel, I want to take you to September 6th of 2018. Did you talk to Bo that day?
I did.
What was that conversation like?
It was short. We had actually talked on the phone the day before about how life was getting better. Work was a little less stressful. He was excited about the upcoming days, and we had planned to have him come visit for the weekend in October. And then sometimes on days when he didn't have anything to say, we'd just send memes back and forth or just different photos. And on September 6th, in the middle of work, he sent me a very embarrassing photo of myself that was a memory from 4 years past, or 3 years past, when we had first moved to Dallas and we had to take a video for the College of Business to encourage new students. And he had made a meme of that photo.
And I'm showing you what's been admitted as States Exhibit 349. And here, at the top of that exhibit, is that the embarrassing photos you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
and most of the photo is cropped out, but the importance of the photo was that he had made it as a meme and said return of big text, like return of a dinosaur.
And are these text messages coming from you?
They are.
Okay. And you send laughing, crying emojis?
Yeah, just such good times, good memories. He had responded, my phone does this memories thing, and it brought up all of our pics from Harding, and I almost cried. And I said, dude, I tear up all the time when Harding and Dallas photos pop up. And then he's kind of mocking me here, like, oh, why are you so emotional? And I say, because I'm a girl, and I'm just so thankful all the time.
And last read on 9/6 of 2018?
Yeah. There's actually a response. All he said in response was LOL at 7 p.m. on September 6th.
Did you see that LOL on September 6th?
No. I woke up to it the next morning.
And when you woke up the next morning, what else did you learn?
I got a phone call about 6 in the morning. And I was told that both of them had been shot, and he didn't make it. I slumped to the floor, and I just kept screaming, wait, 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 wait. I hung up the phone, and I called both of them 7 times, and there was no answer. I have never lost someone this close in my life. And the feeling is just unexplainable. Because if I had just seen the text message, if I had just expanded that I'm thankful for you all the time, maybe it would be a little less painful.
No question.
May she be excused?
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you, Ms. Stossel. Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I have full, Your
Thank
Honor.
you. Make yourself comfortable.
Please state your name and spell your first name for the court reporter.
I am Bertrum Jean, Bertrum Jean.
Bertram, you are the father to both of them?
Yes, I am.
I want you, from your perspective, tell the ladies and gentlemen about your family.
My son Botham was dear to me. I reflect the great memories, having him as a babe, just born as, and then my wife had to leave for university. I actually had him, bathed him, made his bottles, fed him, bring him to my mom's house, then go to work, returned, picked him up. It did not matter what time it was. I just wanted him with me.
Yes.
No, I'll continue. I just wanted him with me. Even though my mom told me to leave him with her, it does not matter. It did not matter what time I returned from work, from my office. I would go and pick him up and take him with me. I dropped him off to school, from infant school to secondary school. We had our fatherly talk. There are times when my friend said I was babying him, a big boy, but I enjoyed doing that. He was never left alone. I'd bring him to school in the mornings and pick him up one afternoon, even up to a grown boy of 16 years. And he...
Almost rides to and from school?
Yes, drop him off and left my office in the afternoon to go and pick him up and drop him off home. Or to my mom, and after my mom, I go and pick him up in an evening. So we always spent a lot of time chatting together. I attended every meeting the school initiated, every meeting that was called. I was there for him. I can recall the hugs at primary school before he left. And after some time, he started growing up, and he was afraid to hug again because his friends were not getting these hugs. But I demanded it. Come and hug your dad. So lots of fond memories. Yeah.
When both of them went off to college at Harding, how did you maintain your closeness? Because you were always with them.
Yes, we communicated via WhatsApp. And the times when he called and speak to his mommy, I would be nearby. And he would certainly say if my wife asked for him to speak to me, he said, no, I'll call my daddy on his own phone. Yes, and I appreciated the days when I would wake him up on a Saturday morning and say, hey, get out of bed, man, you're too lazy. And he said, I'm not in bed, I'm out already, I'm doing groceries. And I can recall, he showed me, I could recall having a neighbor speaking to him, and he said, hold on. He allowed me to hold on, and he said, it took around 5 minutes, and I'm hearing him conversing with this neighbor. He told me, this is my friend, and I could hear everything he was saying. And he said, look, I have groceries in my hands, and I'm opening the door with my foot. And so, yes, we converse, and I love my Sunday morning. My Sundays has been destroyed. That's when I waited for him to get home from his worship. After, yeah.
On Sundays, he would call you so y'all can talk about the service. Is that?
Or I would wait for him to reach and send a message. Where are you? Where did you go to worship? And the times his mommy called to find out the same. Where did you go to worship? And you say, Dallas West, or this side or that side. And I say, what do you cook today? Then you would take a shot and forward me his good cooking, which he learned from me. And when I watch the dishes, I say, you prepare that? I see well-baked dishes, and I'm saying, can I see the girl who prepared this thing at the back there? Because I didn't believe he was that good. He had learned the great cooking from me. And that was my moment. I really enjoyed when he showed me that, and Sundays are not a good day for me. Because I know he would be song leaded.
Yes.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 350, 351, and 352. These have been tendered to defense for any objection.
No objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. said that Sundays are not good for you anymore?
Because I'm not hearing his voice.
You've indicated to me in the past that you can't listen to videos of him singing.
Still not ready for it. It hurts me that he's not there.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 351. Do you remember this photo?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Father and son having a chat at Tommy Bush's residence in Arkansas. And I had venison for the first time. He encouraged me to have some venison.
And are you imparting words of wisdom on it?
No, we were just generalizing, speaking about the ponds and the fishes and what he loved doing.
And then in State's Exhibit 350, that looks like a Christmas time photo.
I can't even recall. I just loved being by his side. He felt, and people would ask, who is the father, who is the son? Because he has more size than me.
Since this event has happened, has yourself and Allison and Alyssa and Grant and the rest of the John family, how do you, as the patriarch of this family, try to hold them together?
Well, as the man of the home, I have to be strong for them. We spend a lot of time together. We go out for dinner. We speak about him. Although Alyssa is not there, but we do communicate with her. There are times when my wife calls and just seeing the boys in the background, grandchildren, and it just motivates us to keep his memory alive. But I have to be strong. I try not to shed tears in front of them.
And I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 352. Mr. John, in this photo, what are you thinking when you're standing there holding your wife?
How could that happen to us, our family? How could we have lost both of them? Such a sweet boy. He tried his best to live a good, honest life. He loved God. He loved everyone. How could this happen to him? How could hindsight, what could we have done? And my family is broken-hearted. How could it be possible? I'll never see him again. And I want to see him. I still want to see him. It's hard. I've never experienced a close death in my family. It's hard not hearing his voice.
Bertrum, that's all the questions I have for you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You may be excused.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your Honor, the state rests.
What says the defense?
Karen Guyger? Call Karen Guyger.
15 or 20 minutes. I realize it takes that long for them all to take a break. So let's just start back anyway.
They look.